Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Bo again. So, today we're going to talk about the 80s and Grenada and a bizarre little historical quirk in the way the United States remembers history. In a recent video, I made an offhand comment about there being a military alliance in the Caribbean, and it prompted way more questions than I ever would have imagined. People asking what it was, why didn't it stop the U.S. invasion of Grenada, so on and so forth. So we're going to kind of go through that. We're going to talk about the regional security system, that's the alliance, and we're going to talk about Grenada, because in the U.S., the perception of Grenada, the collective memory of what happened there is widely shaped by a movie called Heartbreak Ridge. Why did the U.S. invade Grenada? Right now, you're probably saying medical students, because that's what most of the country believes. And that's based from that movie. The Marines go ashore, rescue the students, fight troops from Grenada, and I want to say some from Cuba, and that's the end of it, right? That's not a good summary of what occurred. So, there was I don't want to call it a coup, because I legitimately believe that large portions of what happened there was an actual accident. They didn't mean for it to. So let's say there was a forcible change of government in the country, and some of the leadership did not make it. They didn't survive that change of leadership. So, the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States reached out to the United States. It's like, hey, we could use some help with this. I mean, imagine if you were the leadership of another island nation and you saw that happen. You might want to make sure that it doesn't happen to you. It is worth noting that there are a lot of people who believe that U.S. intelligence kind of had this organization ask the U.S. for help to give the U.S. legal cover to intervene. I have seen no evidence to suggest that's true. That being said, if the evidence surfaced tomorrow, I would not be surprised. That's totally plausible. Okay, so they ask for help. The U.S. says yes. Why? Partially because the administration is just absolutely terrified of having another situation develop similar to what had happened in Iran, with a bunch of Americans getting captured. On top of that week, I think, the U.S. had gotten a pretty big black eye in Beirut. This allowed Reagan to change the story, change the news cycle. So, the U.S. invades. The operation is spearheaded by U.S. Army Special Operations and the SEALs. The Marines come ashore shortly thereafter. And this is where it gets kind of bizarre for a lot of Americans. Within a few hours, there are troops from Barbados, Jamaica, Antigua, Dominica, St. Lucia, St. Vincent, St. Kitts, and Nevis. The RSS didn't stop the U.S. invasion of Grenada because they participated in it. It's not in the collective memory of the United States. It's not how we remember this, but there was a coalition that went in. Now, the U.S. troops were gone by December of 83. The Caribbean troops stayed until 85. Another thing that gets kind of overlooked is that it wasn't just troops from Grenada and Cuba that were there. There were also Soviet troops. I want to say some from Libya, East Germany, maybe even a few from Bulgaria. Now, not all of them got involved in the fighting, but they were all on the opposition side. And in another bizarre twist, because the operation went relatively smoothly, I don't know that the Caribbean forces that showed up, I don't know that they ever actually got involved in the combat. So that's kind of an overview of Operation Urgent Fury. That's what it was called, the invasion of Grenada. Now, the obvious question here with everything that we've been talking about this week, was this U.S. imperialism? I mean, there were a lot of legitimate reasons for it, right? At the same time, I am fairly certain that if there were recordings of the conversations that took place during the decision making, making sure that we didn't end up with another Cuba down there, another communist island country, that factored into the math. That had something to do with the equation, which means it was about maintaining a sphere of influence, which would make it imperialism. Maybe slightly more justified, but it doesn't change the fact that that definitely had something to do with it. The regional security system, by the way, that alliance, was explicitly anti-communist. In fact, there are some who, much like the earlier statement, who believe U.S. intelligence actually encouraged them to form this alliance to kind of stop domino theory type stuff from occurring. Again, I don't have any evidence to back that up, but yeah, that probably happened. So there's an overview of it and how it went down, and it's just interesting to note the way the United States remembers that war because of a movie. Anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good day.